Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Learning Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be talking about Canto 6, Chapter 6, the progeny of the daughter of Dakṣa. And we've got His Grace Dinabandu Prabhuji who will be speaking on that chapter. So welcome, Prabhuji, to the Learning Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna, over to you.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances to everyone. I'm really impressed that the determination which you've taken to continue reading and studying Bhagavatam, systematically, you're persisting with that. Uh, it's a great benediction uh, which has been blessed upon all of you. So my obeisances to all of you. Uh, we will start with Mangalacharan prayers. And then we will read sixth chapter of sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय So, in the previous chapter, in the previous chapter, which is chapter 5 of Canto 6 of Bhagavatam, you would have discussed how uh, Daksha had many sons, and Narad Muni convinced all of them to become renunciates, to become sannyasi. So, for the first batch of sons, he gave various analogies, and thereby he prompted them to think about renunciation, and they became sannyasis. But for the second batch of Daksha's sons, he just said, follow your elder brothers, and they all became sannyasis. So Daksha was very angry at Narad Muni. So just try to understand, when Brahmaji uh, started the secondary process of creation in the material world, the first steps are done by the Lord Himself, by Lord Narayan. So Lord Narayan or Lord Vishnu, he provides all the material ingredients for creation. The Mahatattva, the element of time, the three modes of nature. So all the ingredients are provided by Lord Narayan. And then Brahmaji, he mixes them and creates bodies for various living entities. Now, in order to do that, Brahmaji created various Prajapatis like Dakṣa and told them that you go and procreate so that all the living entities who are roaming in their subtle bodies, they get gross bodies as well. So Daksha's job was to procreate. And for that, he needed progenies. That's how the world will get populated. And Narad Muni, he thought that Narad Muni interrupted his service. So that's why he became furious. On the other hand, the purpose of the material world is not to live in the material world, it's actually to get liberated, go back home, back to Godhead. So Narad Muni, as a devotee, he was trying to liberate the sons of Daksha. So both of them, in their own way, they were doing services for the Supreme Lord. Daksha was trying to help procreate, Narad Muni was trying to help liberate. And there was a clash between the two of them. So in this chapter, we will read that how Daksha carried on his service of procreation. Okay, so in text 1, it is said, Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, Shri Shukava, Tatah Prachetaso Shiknyam Anunita Swayambhuva Shashtim Sanjayamasa Durita Pitravatsala. So Prajapati Daksha, at the request of Lord Brahma, he started procreating again, and in through his wife Asikni, he got 60 daughters who were all affectionate to his father. Now, why did he not beget sons? Because there was a risk that Narad Muni would preach to them again. So this time he said, okay, if my sons are not helping me, they have become renounced, I will beget daughters instead. Because Prabhupada writes in the purport, females are not meant for the renounced order of life. Prabhupada is very clear, females, they should not take sannyas. In other purports, Prabhupada writes that as a child, uh, females are protected by their fathers, in their youth by their husband, and later on by their sons. So females are always given that shelter and protection. So they are not meant to take sannyas. So he knew that Narad Muni won't preach to my daughters. So he said, let me have progenies through my daughters. So he had 60 daughters. And Prabhupada writes that if a husband, they should be faithful to their good husband. And if the husband is competent for liberation, wife will also achieve liberation with him. So that is the process recommended for females. They are married to a good husband, and then both of them progress in spiritual life together, and then the husband uh, gets liberated, wife gets liberated as well. We see this in the pastimes of various saintly persons like Tukaram, Sant Tukaram in Maharashtra. When he got liberated, his wife also got the chance for liberation. Even though his wife was not apparently she was not a devotee of the Lord, but she had great faith in her husband. So the results of a husband's pious activities are shared by his wife, and therefore the wife's duty is to be chaste and faithful to her husband. So even without separate endeavor, she will share in all the profit the husband earns. Now, this is a very simple method described by the Varnashram Institute. The husband, he makes effort for spiritual life, wife supports him, and they both share the benefit. It's like a joint effort. So he had 60 daughters, and he married 10 daughters to Dharmaraj, 27 to moon god, and two each to Angira, Trishashwa, and Bhuta. And to Kashyap Muni, he first married 12 daughters, then one more, and then four. So thus Kashyap Muni married 17 daughters of Daksha. Okay. So 10 Dharmaraj, 17 to Kashyap Muni, 27 to Moon God, and two each to Angira, Trishashwa, and Bhuta. So this way he married all these daughters. Now, in the following verses, there is a description of each daughter and who were their progenies. Okay. Now, it is important. One of there are many characteristics in a Puran. One of the characteristics is it describes the lineage of great personalities. So here from Brahma, we know uh, Prajapati Daksha came forth, and now his 60 daughters and all the progenies. I will not go through all the list. Okay, I request all of you to read it at home. Uh, but I will go through some of the important personalities who are mentioned here. Okay, is that all right, or do you want to go through? Yeah, it's all right. We'll focus on a few. So remember, this is the beginning of creation, and so Daksha has these daughters, and these daughters are married to various personalities like Moon God, Yamaraj, Kashyap Muni, very powerful people, and their children are equally powerful, very strong personalities. So, for example, in text 5, it is described that uh, from the womb of Lamba came a son named Vidyut who generated all the clouds. So imagine this personality Vidyut, he is now generating clouds for the creation. Okay. So in the beginning, all these powerful personalities are coming up. Uh, so you may have heard of sadhyas before in earlier cantos. So in text 8, sorry, in text 7, it is said that from the womb of Sadhya came the Sadhyas, and they had a son named Ardhasiddhi, like that. And one of the child called Jayant, he's an expansion of Lord Vasudev, known as Upendra. Uh, in text 9, it is described that from the womb of Muhurta came the demigods called Muhurtikas, and these demigods deliver the result of actions to living entities of their respective times. So, we calculate Muhurat. I don't know if you've heard this. When you want to do any auspicious activities, you consult an astrologer and he will say, oh, this Muhurat is very good for performing a particular activity like marriage or entering a house or, naming a child. So those personalities, muhurtikas, they are in charge of particular times and they award the results of the actions in that particular times. So that's how we consider them. Okay. So in the next verse, it is said the son of Sankalpa was known as Sankalp, and from him lust was born. And then from Abhimati, the wife of Vasu named Drona, were generated the names the sons named Harsha, Shok, Bhay, and so on. So all these personalities are coming and they're taking charge of various qualities or various aspects of the creation. The wife of Dhruva, so was known as Dharani, and from her womb, various cities took birth. So cities also have their personalities. You know, each city, for example, uh, Mathura or Madhupuri, has a personality, as a deity associated with that city. So all those deities of those cities took birth from the womb of Dharani. Uh, you've heard of the great architect Vishwakarma. You know, Vishwakarma, he comes in various pastimes. For example, he helped uh, building the city of Hastinapur. He helped with the building of Jagannath temple. He was carving Jagannath deities. So he came, uh, it is described in verse 15, Vastor Angirasi Putro Vishwakarma Kritipati. So from Angirasi, the wife of Vasu named Vastu, was born the great architect Vishwakarma. And Vishwakarma married Akriti, from whom the Manu named Chakshusha was born. Okay. So the sons of Manu were known as Vishwadeva and Sadhis, like that. Uh, so the description continues of each sage and of each daughter and their sons. So in text 17 and 18, it is described that Sarupa, who was married to Bhuta, gave birth to 10 million Rudras, of which 11 Rudras are prominent, and their associates are ghosts and goblins, who are very fearful. And they are born of the other wife of Bhuta. So if you remember, Daksha gave two daughters to Bhuta. So from one daughter, all the Rudras came, and from the other daughter, the ghosts and goblins came. So this is how you can see how the creation is being populated with various categories of living entities. Yeah. Okay. So that description continues, and I want to today discuss the very beautiful story which relates to texts 21 and 22. Rakshasya vinatakadru patangi yaminiti cha patangyasurtapatagan yamini shalabhanatha suparna sutagarudam sakshad yagyeshavahanam surya sutam anurum cha padrurnagananekasha. So Kashyap Muni, who is also known as Tarksha, uh, we know he was given 17 daughters by Daksha. So initially he was given 12 and then one and then four daughters. So now those four sisters, their names are given Vinata or Suparna, Tatru, Patangi, and Yamini. So Patangi gave rise to various birds. Yamini gave birth to locusts. Okay, so those species are coming from these two daughters of Daksha. Vinata gave birth to Garud, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, and to Anuru or Arun, the chariot driver of the sun god. Kadru gave birth to various serpents to different varieties of serpents. So there is an interesting story in this regard. If you go to traditional Hindu temples, you will always see the deity of Garudji and Hanumanji, the two servants of the Supreme Lord. And here the appearance of Garuddev is described. So Kashyap Muni, he was served by Vinata and Kadru. They were serving Kashyap Muni very nicely. And Kashyap Muni, being happy with their services, asked them, what benediction do you want? So Kadru, she said that I want 1,000 sons. And Vinata, when Kashyap Muni asked her, what do you want? She said, I want only two sons, but each son would be as powerful as the 1,000 sons of Kadru. Okay. Usually, there is an element of competition between co-wives, and it becomes especially strong when their children are involved. We know the story of Dhruv Maharaj when Suniti and Suruchi, they were two wives of Uttanpad Maharaj. And Uttanpad Maharaj, he liked Suruchi. So he was not particularly favored to the son of Suniti, Dhruv Maharaj. And so when Dhruv Maharaj went on his father's lap, Suruchi insulted him. Then Dhruv Maharaj felt insulted. He went to the forest and he pleased Lord Krishna. So Dharmendra Prabhu was asking me just before the class started, how was my trip to Braj Bhumi? So last month I went to Braj, to Vrindavan, and there is a place in Vrindavan called Dhruvatila in Madhuvan. There are 12 main forests in Vrindavan. One of them is called Madhuvan, and there is a place called Dhrutila. So this is the mound of hill where Dhruv Maharaj stood for 6 months and prayed to Lord Vishnu and got darshan of Vishnu. So I didn't knew this place, and then last year I was looking at various places, and then I visited that particular place. So very nice, interesting place. First time I realized, where that pastime actually took place. It took place in Braj Bhumi. So, it usually happens with co-wives that there is a competition, and the same thing was here. Vinata and Kadru, uh, they asked for this benediction. So Kadru gave birth to 1,000 serpents. So what happened was she gave birth to 1,000 eggs. And from each eggs, very soon, all these serpents came, all the nagas came. So Kadru gave birth to the naga species, and they all became her son. Now Vinata, she gave two eggs, and what she saw is, Kadru's eggs have hatched, all these serpents have come out. What's happening with my egg? Why is it taking time? So she waited for many years. The eggs were not hatching. So what she did was she broke open one of the egg. And when she broke open that egg, there was a great effulgence coming from that egg. And she noticed that that effulgence is coming from her child. But that child was half developed. The upper part was developed, the lower part was not. And this child, he became very upset. He said, Mother, what have you done? You have not allowed me to develop fully. If you had allowed me to develop fully, I would have had effulgence equal to the sun god. when he is in the peak of the day. So at noon, when the sunshine is most prominent, he said, my effulgence would have been equal to that. But now, because you've disturbed my development, my effulgence will only be that of the rising sun. So he cursed his mother, that mother, you will become a slave. And he left and he became the charioteer of sun god. And his name is Aruna or Anuru. So, the sunrise, even before the sun appears, you see this reddish light on the horizon. That is the light of Aruna. And then the sun appears and the sun carries on. Now, Aruna is a very common analogy given to describe beauty of the Lord. It is said that the Lord's eyes have the tinge which is of the same color as Aruna, Aruna Lochana. So now you understand the sun god and his chariot here. Okay. So what happened was Suna. So Vinata became very sorry and uh, she became determined that I will not disturb the other egg. They are taking time, but they are really powerful personalities. It's not like just some ordinary snake coming out. So meanwhile, uh, Kadru, he and Vinata were playing a game, and Vinata lost the bet. So Kadru said, "You have to become my slave." So Vinata became the slave of her sister, as was cursed by Arun. Now, over a period of time, the other egg hatched, and from that egg came Garud Dev. So Garud and Arun are brothers, and we all know various pastimes of Garudji. Garudji is the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu. So there are many pastimes of Garudji. So when Garud took birth, he understood that his mother was a slave to his stepmother, to his sister, to Vinata's sister, Kadru. So he approached his siblings, he approached all the Nagas, and he said that, how can my mother be released from this slavery? So this Naga said that, listen, if you want her to be released from slavery, you have to bring us Amrit, the nectar pot, which the demigods have stolen. So you bring us that, and we'll release your mom. So Garud, he said, no problem. And Garud is, really powerful. Imagine, just to remind you, Kashyap Muni gave a benediction that each of your son will be as powerful as all the 1,000 Nagas combined. And we know Aruna, if he was allowed to develop fully, he would have become as effulgent as the sun. So Garud, fully developed, how strong he must be. So Garudev immediately dashed for the kingdom of the demigods. So Indra, with all the demigods, they became afraid and they attacked him. So Garudji easily defeated all of them. So then the demigods, whenever they are in difficulty, they rush to Lord Vishnu for help. So Lord Vishnu came and he stopped Garudji. So Garuddev, he said, I will take the nectar. I have to release my mom from slavery. So Vishnuji says, okay, you can do that. We will devise a way. that you can take your nectar, and at the same time, we'll see to it that the snakes do not drink the nectar. So we'll devise a plan. But I'm very impressed with your Valerie. You stood against the demigods. You were even willing to fight with me. So I'm very impressed with your Valerie. So you can ask a benediction from me. So Garudadev, he says, so initially Lord Vishnu says, I'm very impressed and I want you to become my carrier. I want you to become my Vahan. Just like, everyone has a carrier. Ganeshji's carrier is a mouse. Okay, Kartikeya's carrier is a peacock. Brahmaji's carrier is a swan. Similarly, Lord Vishnu said, you become my carrier. And Garudji said, okay, I'll become your carrier. But when you are not traveling, that time you have to give me a place to rest. And that place will be at the same level as you. Okay. Usually, we sit below the Supreme Lord. Okay. But every devotee, he has his own mood. Like Bhishma Dev was fighting with arrows, and Lord Krishna's body was bleeding because of the arrows of Bhishma, and he enjoyed that particular valor. So here Garuji is saying, yes, I'll be your carrier. I'll carry you wherever you want. When I'm not carrying you, I'll sit at the same level. So Lord Vishnu said yes. So if you go to traditional Indian temples, especially in South India, you see the Garuda Stambha. Have you seen that? You go to Ranganath temple or you go to various other temples in Kanchipuram or Tirupati temple. Have you seen the Garuda Stambha? Yeah. So Garuda Stambha, the height at which Garudji sits is the same as the height of the altar in those temples. So that's why Garudastam is like a long pillar, and Garudji sits on that pillar. So that was the benediction given to Garudji. So Indra said, "What about the nectar?" So Garud says, "Don't worry, you. I'll take the nectar pot to the snakes, but when they get the nectar and they release my mom, at that time you can take the pot away from them. You can steal the pot back." So that plan was agreed. Garudji came with the nectar pot to his brothers. They said, okay, fine, we release your mom, Vinata. So Garudji, brought his mother back. But what Garudji did was he tipped over the pot of nectar and it fell on the grass. And so some drops fell on the grass, and at that time, in some places it is said Indra, in some places it is said Indra's son. He swooped over and took the nectar pot away. So the snakes thought, oh, the nectar pot is gone, but at least some drops of nectar are lying on the grass. So they tried to lick it, but when they licked the grass was quite sharp and it cut their tongue into half. So since that time, it is said that the snakes' tongues became forked by fork. Like that. And then Garudji, he swooped upon all the nagas and he killed them. He ate them. So since that time, there was an enmity between Garudji and the nagas. Okay. So snakes are always afraid of Garudji. When Kalia, uh, the same pastime, Kalia Nag, the reason he came into Yamuna was because he was afraid of Garudji. And then when Krishna subdued him, and Krishna said, "You leave, you leave Braj now. My devotees stay here. You cannot poison the river Yamuna." So Kalia asked Krishna that, "Where will I go? Because as soon as I leave Braj, Garurji will eat me up." So Krishna said, "No, now he will not eat you, because I have danced on your hoods, your heads, they carry the impression of my feet. And when Garurji sees those impressions, he will never harm you." So then, with that reassurance, Kaliyanand left. People who are afraid of snakes, or if they are bitten by a venomous snake, it is recommended that they should chant the mantras to please Garurji, and then the effect of that poison goes away. That is the recommendation. So various pastimes are there of Lord Garudev, and today, we had the opportunity to discuss his appearance and his earlier pastimes. Okay, so we continue now. In the next verse, it is described that the moon god, he was given how many? 23 daughters? Sorry, 27 daughters. Three Nava. 27 daughters were given to moon god. But moon god was very partial to his wife Rohini, and he neglected the other wives, the daughters of Daksha. So, seeing this, Daksha became very angry and he cursed him. So, because of that curse, moon god did not have any children from his wife, from any of his wives. Okay, so moon god then pacified Daksha with very courteous words. And Daksha said, "Okay, I've cursed you. That curse cannot be reversed. But what will happen is, rather than you fading away, one fortnight your light will diminish, and then the other fortnight, the Shukla Paksha, it will manifest again. So in Krishna Paksha, your light will diminish, but in Shukla Paksha, it will come back again." Okay. All right. So Kashyap Muni, it is described in text 26. He had, uh, he married various daughters of Daksha. It is said that almost all the living entities, they come from these daughters. So Kashyap Muni and his wives, they are they are the parents of almost all the population of the universe, and the names are very auspicious to hear. So we have Diti, from which all the demigods appeared. Aditi, other descendants appeared. Danu, Kashtha, Arishta, Surasa, Ila, Muni, Prodhavasha, Tamra, Surabhi, Sarma, and Timi. So, for example, from Timi, all the aquatics took birth. From Sarma, all the ferocious tigers and lions took birth. And Bhagavatam continues with the description of the descendants of Diti. We'll read about the pregnancy of Diti in the evening, and how all these pastimes took place. All of that we'll be reading. Uh, from the womb of Surbhi came buffalo, cow, and other animals. And from Tamra came eagles, vultures, large birds. From the womb of Muni, the angels took birth. So, like that, from all these different daughters of Daksha who were married to Kashyap, almost all the categories of living entities, they took birth. Okay. So that description continues. You remember the story of Yayati, who was cursed, become old? That Yayati is described in text 32. Uh, the daughter of Swarbhanu, named Suprabha, was married by Namuchi, and the daughter of Vrishaparva, named Sharmishtha, was given to the powerful king Yayati, the son of Nahush. So like that, all these pastimes have taken place. Text 36 describes that from the womb of Puloma and Talaka came 60,000 sons headed by Nivat Kavach. And they were very strong and expert in fighting. But they had demonic mentality. They were disturbing the sacrifices of the sages. So when Arjun went to the heavenly planet, he killed these demons, Pulomas and Kalakes, and therefore Indra became very affectionate towards him. So from the wife Simhika, Viprachitti begot 101 sons. Uh, Eldest was Rahu, other hundreds were Ketus, and again they got various positions in the influential planets. So uh, from the womb of Aditi, uh, various expansions of the Supreme Lord appeared, like Vivaswan, Aryama, Kusha, Tvashta, Savita, Bhaga, Dhata, Vidata, Varun, Mitra, Shatru, and Urukrama. So therefore, Mother Aditi is very much celebrated in our Vedic culture. From the sun god, uh, sun god had a wife called Samagya, and she gave birth to Shradadev, who became a Manu, but also gave birth to the twins Yamaraj and Yamuna. And then, so sun god, it's very interesting. He gave birth. Uh, the progenies of sun god are Yamaraj and Yamuna. Yamuna was married to Krishna, one of the eight chief queens of Krishna. So sun is the father-in-law of Krishna, and Yamraj and Shanidev from another wife, sun god had Shanidev. Shanidev and Yamraj, they are the brothers-in-law of Krishna. So many people, they are worried about planetary influences. Okay. But all the planets are somehow related to Krishna, and they all respect and pray to Krishna. So for one who is a devotee of Krishna, he need not fear the influence of planetary positions. Okay. Only one who is a karmi, then they are under the jurisdiction of all these planetary uh, constellations. But for one who is a devotee of the Lord, they need not fear. So when you go to Yamraj, you say, "Oh, I'm the servant of your brother-in-law." So you will obviously, take that into consideration. Uh, so another wife of sun god named Chaya gave birth to Shaneshchara or Shanidev, Saturn planet, and Savarniman, and one daughter, Tapati or Tripta, like that. So, like this, from various daughters, uh, various people, various personalities, were created. And this description continues till the end of this chapter. So in verse 45, it is described that although Vishwarup was the son of the daughter of the eternal enemies, the demons, the demigods accepted him as their priest in accordance with the order of Brahma when they were abandoned by the spiritual master Brihaspati, for whom they had disrespected. So when you discuss the pastime of Vritrasur later on, then you will realize that, oh, he's one of the descendants of Daksha, of the daughters of Daksha. So, like this chapter describes various personalities uh, who appeared in the lineage of Daksha through his daughters, by whom he married to various personalities like sun god, Yamraj, uh, Bhuta, and of course Kashyap Muni. And Kashyap Muni and his wives, they populated most of the creation. And then we discussed uh, the pastime of how Garud Dev appeared on this planet in some detail. Okay. So I'll stop here. If anyone wants to ask anything or if they've got questions, happy to take them.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu. That was a wonderful class. Um, if you've got any questions, please raise your hand and I'll call you out. If I can just quickly start. Um, basically, with these 60 daughters, you've got them married to different personalities. Um, so, did all these daughters have some sort of karma because they got married to various people, and some of them were well known, and some of them weren't. Some of them um, gave birth to, let's say, ghosts and goblins and things like that, whereas others were closely related to Krishna. So how does that work out? Because obviously you've got Daksha, who is a devotee of Krishna, and his daughters are then producing or populating the earth with these other personalities, which may not be quite so much
Yeah.
aligned.
So Daksha, if uh, if you remember the pastime of Sati, he insulted Lord Shiva. So even though he's one of the Prajapatis and he knows how the creation is working, he's not always conscious of the Lord and his devotees. The other thing is the material world is meant for all sorts of rebellious personalities like us. So the material world gives us a facility to play out our fantasies and try to master it over the material creation. So for us to have these bodies, obviously someone has to arrange all of that. And that is what Brahmaji is doing. So some daughters of Daksha, they are giving rise to ghosts and goblins, and some others are giving birth to devotees like Lord Garudev. And that's the nature of this world. You have all sorts of living entities depending upon their desires and their karma. But the purpose of the material world is to get out of this prison house. And therefore, you have devotees like Narad Muni, and the Lord will himself appear in the womb of Aditi as Vaman Dev and perform pastime. So the Lord and his devotees, they are also taking, uh, they are also giving a chance to these personalities to have them as their sons and thereby promote spiritual life. So both good and bad are happening, and that's how the material world is created.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. We've got a
Okay.
vast array of people wanting to ask questions, so It must have been a wonderful class. Thank you so much for that. Because I was thinking, how will you discuss this class myself when when we're going through these names and we're thinking, I was just contemplating how this class would be. So thank you so
So
much for that.
each personality, if you look upon them, they all have various interesting pastimes associated. I thought I will say something about Lord Garudev because he appears very prominently in Prajni and also in other incarnations of the Lord. All of them have very interesting pastimes, So actually, one can discuss this chapter for a long time.
Okay, thank you very much. Indaleka Mataji, if you'd like to ask your question, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please can you accept my humble obeisances, O good Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for so nicely taking us through this chapter and talking about Garudev. He's prominent, he's everywhere with the Lord. So Prabhuji, as we discussed, yesterday also I asked the same question on the group while we were reading. We see that Dakṣa has got 60 daughters, right? But it's not mentioned where he gives Sati to Lord Shiva.
Sorry, it's not mentioned where?
Where Dakṣa gave his daughter Sati to Lord Shiva. Okay. It's not there.
So, let me just find out. I'll give you the exact reference. So, that is described in Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so in the previous canto, if you go to chapter 1, it is described how
yes, Prabhuji, but here you have counted like so many to this person, and then it makes 60. So where is Sati then?
Okay. Can I read up and maybe give that reference to Dharmendra Prabhu? You can pass it on to you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you so much. Hare
because it is described in Canto 4, first chapter, text 65. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, was the wife of Lord Shiva. And text 66, Sati's father Dakṣa used to rebuke Lord Shiva. So I have to read that chapter to get the exact genealogy. Okay, so text 48, 4.1.48 says that Dakṣa himself, he had 16 beautiful daughters with his wife Prasuti. Okay, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma, one was given to Agni, one was given to Pitralok, and other was given to Lord Shiva. Okay, so that's how the genealogy of Sati is given here. Makes sense?
But in this chapter, it doesn't mention about Shiva or Sati.
Okay, so I need to just clarify that. I've personally, I found it difficult to remember the genealogy. But I will let me read out.
Can I take the question, Prabhu? Because I have. Can I take that question?
Yeah.
I remember it a little bit. So, this birth, the birth that you just read about in fourth canto, was the first birth of Dakṣa, where Dakṣa will end up having the head of a goat, a ram, right? But this birth of Dakṣa is the second birth of Dakṣa, and this is, and he continues to have some of his old traits, like the trait of criticizing devotees, like he did criticize Narada in this birth as well. So, so this is a second birth. That last birth he had 16 daughters. This birth he had different daughters, and he's that's
So you're correct, Mataji. The first birth is as a Manas Putra of Brahmaji, and then when he's cursed and then he's born again, he's born as a son of Pracheta and Marisha.
That's right, Prabhu, yes.
Yes. So therefore, in the beginning of this chapter, one of the first verse, if you look, Tatak Prachetaso Siknyam. Prachetaso means Dakṣa, the son of Pracheta. So thanks for clarifying that, Mataji. That in this birth, he's the son of Pracheta. I hope that answers very nicely Indulekha Mataji's question.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So what I can do is I have a chart of the genealogy mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and generally I refer to that when there are questions like this. So I'll pass on the link to Dharmendra Prabhu, and you can put it in the group then.
I will do. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Gita Mataji, would you like to ask a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Just wanted to clarify what you were speaking in the beginning, that a wife does not take brahmacharya, but does it mean she has got no personality at all? Can she not do any devotional service other than what her husband does?
No, not at all. Not at all, Mataji. So we've got example of, say, Shabari, who performed such great devotional service that Lord Ramchandra came to her home, and Vidura's wife, she was such a devotee that Krishna ate the banana peels of her, Anusuya Mataji. So there are various examples. The Varnashram system, the way it works is it gives a general guidance for people that the husband and wife, along with the kids, they all work towards spiritual life. And the wife gets the share of whatever the husband is doing. So, for example, if guests are invited, say if you invite a lot of devotees to your house for prasadam. Now, it may be that you are cooking and your husband is serving the devotees. This is generally what I've seen. Wives are in the kitchen, Matajis, they are doing cooking, say for the Sunday feast, and there is all the husbands, they are serving devotees. Now, the devotees may not go into the kitchen and bless the Matajis. Okay, they'll tell Prabhujis, or they'll tell the householder that all are blessings to you. Now, what this verse says is that does not mean the wife will not get the result of those blessings.
Thank you, Prabhuji. But I'm talking about a husband who is not a devotee.
Yeah, so Prabhupada makes it very clear in the purport. Okay, right? So text 1, if you look at the purport, Prabhupada makes it very clear that females should be faithful to their good husbands. Okay, so if the husband is a devotee, then just by supporting that husband, the wife will also get the results. But that does not preclude the wife from performing devotional service herself. In fact, in my experience, I have seen that Matajis are more devotional than their husbands. And I have read and heard of so many instances where the wives have actually delivered their husbands. Okay. So again, this time we went to Braj, and there is a village called Palso near Govardhan. A very beautiful pastime, simple pastime, very short, simple. Krishna was leaving Braj to go to Mathura. So all the gopis, they stopped him and they said, "You can't go." Krishna said, "No, no, I'll come back." So they asked, "When will you come back?" So he said, "Day after tomorrow," which means Parso, Aunga.
Yes.
So that place is now known as Parso.
Mm.
Now, in Parso, there is a temple of a sati. Now, this is not an incident which happened thousands of years ago. This incident happened in 1980. It's 9 o'clock. I don't know if I have time to narrate this pastime, but it will.
Yeah.
Do I?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu,
Okay. Thank you, Dharmendra. So it's a very detailed pastime. I met the Pradhan, the head of that village, Nandakishore Prabhu, and he said he was about 10, 12 years of age when this happened. So he's seen what happened. And this lady's husband died of cancer, and various miracles took place over the next few days till she uh, till she became a sati. And how did she become a sati? A fire came from her fingers, and the whole village saw that she entered into the fire like that. Even before that, a lot of miracles were taking place just by her power. So it's not to say that females cannot lead in their spiritual life, and it's only if their husband become devotees they'll get anything. What this verse says is that if the husband is a devotee and the female is serving, if the wife is serving, then she automatically gets the share. Okay, so females have, I say, dual advantage. If they do devotional service, they get credit themselves. And if their husband is doing, then they get credit as well. Okay, so it's a win-win situation for them if the husband is a devotee. But if not a devotee, they can still carry on and they will go back to God. Makes sense,
Thank you,
Mataji?
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. But
Yeah.
her husband also can take the share of the wife, isn't it?
I have not read that, Mataji. I don't see why. I know of one pastime, and that is not from heard pastime. This is in my own life. I've seen where this Mataji was a devotee. Husband was objecting to her devotional service. He would not let her chant. She used to chant in toilets or when she used to go to the markets like that. She chanted 16 rounds. But what she did was she kept making prasadam. She kept serving her family prasadam. And then after some years, the husband, his consciousness changed. And now the husband is an initiated devotee. So, for me, that is a very good example where the husband has benefited from the wife's devotion.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sadevi Mataji, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much for today's class. You mentioned all this character name of different character like Swaiparu, like Paloma, like Rahu. All of them are, as I understand, are demon. And at one place, I'm thinking, okay, I have heard and studied and learned that Lord will destroy everything and again create. It has happened many, 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 many times. And when the Supreme Lord destroyed everything and starts to create again, why are they already bad? Try to take power or do things like what Rahu does. For instance, he wants to have this nectar, and he later become the enemy of the moon and sun and swallow them every eclipse and so on. So how is it because they also previous creation, or no, this is only a pastime?
So just remember, Mataji, all of these personalities are also living entities. They are empowered. I'm a doctor, so my power is only in my clinic. But Chandradev, his power is much more wider. But at the core, we are all living entities. We all have our desires. We all have some free will to act in particular ways. So there are some living entities like sun god, for example, who want to do good for everyone else. And there might be other personalities like Rahu, who at times appear to be, not so beneficial. But at the end of the day, they are all working in a system where living entities want to do good, they also want to do bad, and there is a system to facilitate that, but also reward them accordingly. So that's the nature of the material world. Like in a prison, you have the kitchen department, and you have the guards, you have the executioner as well. They're all working within the prison. Now you may say the kitchen man is good and the executioner is bad. But the trouble is, as long as you are in the prison, you will have to deal with all of them. The material world is meant to actually get out of the material world, give the living entity a chance. So, yes, all these personalities are there who are taking part in the administration of this material world. At the end of the day, it's up to us to do devotional service and get out of this.
May I ask, you say when one becomes the devotee, then one doesn't need to be worried anymore. Things will be different. But then, in the same time, I have learned and studied that when something is decided, like when the curse have been said, or when you have got how to say a role to play, when before you born, there is something that you have to go through. It had been programmed that I should, for instance, myself, I was programmed to go through what I have been gone through. So, and the same way as a curse, and same way as it has said when the word has been said, it can't be changed. So it has said many times, but how is it possible that now it could be changed just because? You know what I mean?
Yes, so,
because
yes.
it was the same before also people were,
Yes.
or entity or people were doing good things, doing devotional things, just to show their remorse or whatever. But still, it didn't change the word had been said, or the curse had been said. You know what I mean?
Yes, so for a devotee of the Lord, if you look at the example of Pandav, the 5 brothers, great devotees of the Lord was with them, but they still had to go to the exile in the forest, the Vanvas, the Gyatvas, their wife was insulted, they had to fight a battle, their sons were killed by Ashwathama, so they had to suffer all of this. But they still remain devotees of the Lord. So in our lives, it's not that by taking devotional service, the life events will stop happening. Okay? That's not how devotional service works. A devotee like Kunti Devi in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, she says, Lord, I don't mind having more problems because then I remember you more intensely. So devotee is not worried about what's going on in his life. The devotee is thinking, how can I serve Radha and Krishna? Things will happen, but a devotee is not affected by it. So by chanting the names of Krishna, by engaging in devotional service, do not think that suddenly life will become very smooth. It will not. But in India, have you seen ceiling fans? So when you switch off the ceiling fan, they still go on for some time, but eventually they stop. So similarly, by taking to devotional service, we have switched off the button of karma. So now, it will rotate for a while, but all those karmas are destroyed. But you won't be affected. By taking devotional life, if you're a devotee of the Lord, you will not feel uh, the pains and the pleasures as well of this material world. Your focus is only on serving the.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
very much, Prabhu. Shakti Prabhu, Shakti Mataji rather, would you like to ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Sorry, Shakti Prabhu. Sorry. God.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. This has been an amazing class. Really appreciate your time. I have two questions that are linked together. If we go back to you were talking about Guruji's pastimes and the group of serpents that that whole sort of tussle happened with. Are they the same group that appear that are they part of the group that later are in the pastime with Mohini Murti? Were they on the scene there too? That's my first question. And if
Sorry, were they part of the?
were they part of the all the personalities in the when the Amrit dropped and then Mohini Murti came to kind of save everyone? Were they on that scene there? Were they part of that pastime? And if so, is there any kind of intrinsic link? That's my first question. And then the second question is, in that pastime of Mohini Murti and the Amrit, my understanding was that it was Swar Banu who then hid himself amongst Surya Narayan and Chandradev.
Yeah.
And then in getting found out, he then got chopped and then turned into Rahu Ketu. But in this chapter, one of the texts is, it refers that it was text 37. It says that the eldest son of Viprachita and Simhika, the eldest son was Rahu and the other hundreds were Ketus. So here it's divided them already. My understanding from the other pastime was that they were first, it was for Banu. So I just wanted to clarify my understanding, because I always thought it was for Banu who then got chopped in half. That's how Rahu Ketu came. But this text 37 implies that Rahu Ketu were already two individuals.
Oh, Prabhuji, that's beyond my understanding.
Okay.
I will admit, whenever I read the genealogy, I find it very difficult to comprehend, especially in terms of timelines. Like you raised a very good question. When did Rahu appear, and are these nagas were they already present at the time of the churning of the ocean? At what point did they come? I'm not clear, Prabhuji. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Different Puranas, they give different versions. So the story of how Garudadev appeared is not in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
And sometimes you find some differences. So again, when I went to Brajbhumi this time, the pastime of Krishna stealing the clothes of gopis, there are two places which say that this pastime happened here. So my take on that is that over a period of time, it becomes difficult to determine where it took place. So what we can determine is, yes, that did happen. So in the pastime of the nectar pot, I may not be very clear about the fine details, but what I understand is that there was this clash. They churned the ocean. They got nectar pot. There was a fight for the nectar pot, but the demigods got it. And at what point do the snakes and Garudev appear? That I'm not clear about.
Okay.
Different Puranas will give different timelines. And sometimes, and that's not just with this pastime. There are other pastimes as well where the chronology differs, or it will say that this particular demon was killed by Krishna. Another Puran will say, oh no, Pralambasur was killed by Balramji, like that. So there might be differences. The way I take it is that, yes, that particular pastime happened, and that there are some minor differences here. But the lessons we can learn from the pastime are still valid.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed these because you don't hear these sort of intricate details and how they link. That's what's really fascinating. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Shakti.
Okay, we did have to. I just want to quickly ask if anyone has those questions, because Shanti Mataji, did you have your hand up at all? Do you want to ask a question, or has it already?
Hare Krishna, Dandu Pranam. Yes, I had a question. Hare Krishna, it was a lovely class, Prabhuji. And I hope I remember some of that, because my memory is like a fish memory. I do forget everything so quick. And my question was, I don't know whether it's a relative here or not, doesn't make any sense or not. But as Dakṣa wanted 60, give birth of 60 daughters instead of the boys, did any of his daughters had a daughter instead of all the sons?
I think so, yes. So,
if yes, who was then?
So you want to know Dakṣa's daughter's daughter?
Yeah. Did they have any daughter?
If I remember correctly, they did. They must have. The best might be that I send that genealogy chart,
okay,
and it might answer that question. Did Dakṣa's daughters have daughters as well? I'll do that, Mataji. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And finally, Jay Mataji, would you like to ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the lovely class. Mine is a very quick question. It's verse 14, where there's a mention of Vasu gives Vasu has a son called Shishumara. I just wondered if that Shishumara is the same as the Shishumara planetary system that we read in Canto 5.
Possible, Mataji. Prabhupada has not given a purport to that. And therefore, I'm not clear, who this Shishumar refers to.
Yeah, it says here, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it's an expansion, but I wasn't sure if it meant the planetary.
There is a planetary system.
Yeah.
There is a planetary system. And all these planetary systems, they take shelter of Dhruvalok. That is what is described. But, this, if genealogy is difficult, cosmology is very, very difficult.
Even
to
more
understand.
so, yeah.
So
No problem, Prabhuji.
So I only apologize, Mataji. What I tend to do is, if Prabhupada has written a purport, then I take that as the final word.
Yeah, and there is no purport in this one.
Prabhupada has not given purports to actually many verses in this chapter.
No. So it becomes a bit difficult for you, no? But that's fine, Prabhuji. Don't worry at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, we've got a final comment from the class for today. The past time that you raised regarding Arundev and Gurudev, just asking where it is detailed, so that people can read up on it.
Mahabharata. So that pastime is in Mahabharata. let me find out. Mahabharata. So this is in Adi Parva of Mahabharata, chapters 16 to 34.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.